Hey there, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds with Kai here again. I'm back with another deck recipe. It's been quite a while since I uploaded one, but I've actually resparked my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately and made a whole bunch of new decks which I'm going to upload a lot more regularly now. So, pretty much I'm going to start off with this one. It's my favourite deck at the moment. It's my Dragon Master Knight deck, which resolves solely, well not solely, but it resolves around summoning this big guy. Which is a combination of Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which you might remember from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, when he's fighting Five-Headed Dragon, or Dragon Effigy, or whatever you want to call him. This is the one that Yugi and Kaiba summon together. It's a pretty awesome card, especially it's just satisfying getting this guy out in the field. But it also runs with Elemental Hero, so if I was going to fully call this deck something, it would be my Dragon Master Knight Elemental Hero Blackluster Soldier Zero type something. That's what mainly because this deck does work surprisingly very well with Elemental Heroes. And this guy in particular, Absolute Zero. You might be thinking right now, how would Elemental Hero work with Dragon Master Knight? But it will all become clear once I explain the deck. I'll explain all the tactics and stuff that I use with this type of deck to get Dragon Master Knight on the field. So yeah, I'm going to go through my extra deck just now. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, run 3 of those cards. Surprisingly, this card, without even having one Blue Eyes White Dragon in my deck, I can summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I'll go into how once I explain the cards in my deck. So run 3 of those cards. 3 Dragon Master Knights. It gets powered up by 5 from attack for every Dragon type monster you control. Very satisfying summoning this card. Keep in mind that he's a light type monster. This will come into play later. And then you've got your free Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, which in my opinion is probably the best Elemental Hero deck card you can probably get in this game. Don't know so much about real life, but in this game, yeah, Absolute Zero. When this guy is fusion summoned, he gets power up by 500 for every water type monster in the field. Although, when this card leaves the field in any sort of way whatsoever, whether that's back to your deck, back to your hand, removed from play, or just simply destroyed, it will destroy all your opponent's monsters. So basically, no matter what, your opponent's going to take quite a heavy hit, and it has to deal with him, and you can't deal with him without destroying his own monsters, even if they're face down in defense mode. So yeah, this guy is amazing. You can Polymerization to summon this card you need 1 hero and 1 water type monster, which I have plenty of in this deck, but you can actually use this card and another Elemental Hero to special summon him again and destroy all your opponent's monsters and then attack him for 2500. That is a strategy that is pretty good for that card. I run 2 Elemental Hero Gaias. I don't ever normally summon him, but he can be summoned because Blackluster Soldier is an Earth type monster, so I put 2 of them in my deck just in case. You can never really tell where a duel's gonna go, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's also why I run Synchros. Even though I don't have one tuner at all in this deck, I run the main ones like Black Rose Dragon, Bronic, the Dragon of the Ice Barrier, Darkshire Fighter, and Stardust Dragon, just in case a monster Reborn looking at card from the graveyard. So, or even Brain Control, one of his tuners. You know, I think those can go in many shapes and forms. I just put them there just in case. So that's it for my extra deck. Now to describe how the hell I'm going to summon these guys. Start off with my 3 Blackluster Soldiers. Obviously, when you get your first hand, you're going to know whether or not you're going to summon this Dragon Master Knight from your hand or from your graveyard. All examples can be found in the example duel, as I've got linked below, but yeah, like when you get an opening draw, if you've got more monsters that have summoned Dragon's Master Knight in your hand, you want to get this guy in your hand. Otherwise, you want him in your graveyard to special summon him, or use him as synchro fusion material. Oh my god, I get so confused when I'm describing things. Anyway, Blackluster Soldier. You need 3 of those. 1 Break of the Magical Warrior. He doesn't really work in conjunction with any other card in this deck. I just put him in there as back row destruction. I don't have much back row destruction in this deck apart from Heavy Storm, so this card works especially well for getting rid of some back row or even tempting them to use back row. Because you're going to be special summoning most of the time anyway, so you've got cards to special normal summon if you need to be. So this card was pretty useful for that. It gets rid of your back row, so you can't destroy Dragon Master Knight as easily. So yeah, good card to have in your deck. 3 Elemental Hero Ocean. This card works especially well for Absolute Zero, mainly because he's an Elemental Hero card. He's also a Water type monster. I guess you could use his effect to return Absolute Zero back to your deck, and then that will destroy your opponent's monsters, but I've never really used that effect before. Normally I keep this guy in my hand or have him in the graveyard just to special summon Absolute Zero. That's probably his main function. 2 Elemental Hero Prismas. Basically, I'm going to go into this card in quite some detail. This card can be used for summoning Dragon's Master Knight or Absolute Zero. It's pretty versatile that way. Once per turn, you can reveal 1 fusion material monster from your extra deck, which would be Dragon's Master Knight, and then send 1 fusion material monster listed on that card to your deck. And the only card you can do that with is Blackluster Soldier. So you send your Blackluster Soldier to the graveyard, and this card becomes Blackluster Soldier. So therefore, say you have King of the Swamp, which I'll go into more detail later, and a Polymerization. You can use Polymerization with Elemental Hero Prisma and King of the Swamp, which is none of the cards that are listed on Dragon's Master Knight, and summon Dragon's Master Knight. It works. Who am I going to complain? You know, I'm sure Yugioh and Kaiba would have something to say about that, but nope, you can do that in this game. So therefore, that's why I run 2 Elemental Hero Prismas. He's also good for Elemental Hero Absolute Zero because he's also an Elemental Hero card. So yeah, that's why I've got these guys in my deck here. I've got 1 Elemental Hero Stratos, as you might already know. He has the ability to destroy back row if you have another Elemental Hero on the field. But mainly I've got him so it repopulates my hand slightly. I can add any 1 hero monster from my deck to my hand, whether that's a card that I need for Absolute Zero. Like say for example, I have this card and a Polymerization. I can use that card, get this card to my hand, Polymerization for Absolute Zero. Also, it just keeps my options open, you know. Even if I need a Prisma, so yeah, I run 6 Elemental Hero cards, and you don't need any other Elemental Hero cards apart from those ones, to be honest with you. Next, King of the Swamp, which also requires quite some explaining. If you don't already know what he does, basically he is your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Just think of him as Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Even though he doesn't look anything like him, he is your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. You can substitute this card for any 1 fusion material monster, but the other material monsters must be correct. Meaning, if you have Polymerization and this card, and Blackluster Soldier in your hand, you can Polymerization for Dragon's Master Knight. Or equally, if you have Dragon's Mirror, which is a magic card I'll talk about in a bit, you can remove this card and Blackluster Soldier from your graveyard, remove them from play, and summon Dragon Master Knight. He also has the other effect where you can discard this card to the graveyard and then gain 1 Polymerization from your deck. Again, useful for Dragon's Master Knight or Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. So he is very versatile, not to mention that he's a water type monster. So yeah, lots of uses for a King of the Swamp. 1 Manju with 10,000 hands. This guy is just to draw your Blackluster Soldier. I used to run 2, but then I decided there's lots of things that I can do with Blackluster Soldier with my other cards, if I need to, so yeah, I don't really need to. But this guy thins out your deck and gains you a Blackluster Soldier, if need be. Morphing Jar. Yeah, I think you've got 18 magics in this deck, and a lot of them are drawing cards anyway, so like every magic card is useful, but if you're going to run through them pretty damn quickly most of the time. So if you need to repopulate your hand, Morphing Jar is the way to go. 1 Sangan. I don't need to explain him far too much. When he's destroyed or removed from the field, practically to your graveyard, you can gain 1 1500 or less attack card from your deck, which is pretty much any card in this deck, mainly like King of the Swamp or Morphing Jar or Summon of Illusions or anything that you need really. Summon of Illusions. Not a card that I've seen many people use or even know what it does, but this is how you get your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon on the field. What it does is, once this card is flipped, you can tribute summon 1 other monster, and if you do so, you can special summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck, which you can only do with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. The reason this is this cannot be special summoned by other ways. However, this just can be special summoned. and this guy cannot be special summoned in any other ways. So that is why it can only ever work for Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So say for example you have an elemental hero, this is a good tactic to use with him. So you have an elemental hero absolute 0 on the field. You've got this guy face down. Flip him face up, tribute your absolute 0. That will destroy all your opponent's monsters on his side of the field, and then you'll summon a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Who needs 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, like at all? But yeah, it only works for 1 turn, however, but it's useful having a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in your graveyard. That's for Dragon's Bear, which I'll talk about later. Also 4,500 attack, and being able to attack with him is also pretty damn useful. So that's why I run 2 Summoner Illusions in this deck. As you can see at the side there, I also have Treeborn Frog, which has the Reborn ability, and I can also flip summon Tribute Treeborn Frog, and then summon Blue Eyes Up White Dragon. You'd be surprised how many times I've got Blue Eyes Up White Dragon, Dragon's Master Knight ×2 on the field. It's pretty mad actually, it's pretty damn insane. No one really suspects it. But yeah, I've got 2 of these cards. The Light the Hex Fusion, I'm just going to call them that for short. Light Hex Fusion is basically like King of the Swamp. It does everything that I explained with King of the Swamp. Like, it can be used as a fusion substitute. So this is again Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This is your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon here. However, it can't be used with, like, for example, Elemental Hero Absolute 0. It can only be used for a light fusion monster, which, as I explained earlier on, is Dragon Master Knight. So therefore this guy can be used in your graveyard with Dragon's Mirror, it can be used in your hand, it can be used in your, on your side of the field. As long as you have Blackluster Soldier, like, you're good. So yeah, that's just like King of the Swamp. It just you can't discard it for a Polymerization. That's the only bad thing about it. 1 Treeborn Frog, again, as I just explained, for its Reborn ability. It's also a water type monster, so I can use it with Absolute 0, I can use it with Summon of Illusions. There's countless possibilities I can use that for. So that's it for the monsters. I only run 18 monsters, but you are going to draw something that you need, especially with the magics that help you draw them. So let me get onto the magics now. 1 Brain Control. All I need to say about Brain Control is that 1 card alone can win you a match. Card Destruction. Sometimes you will get a bad hand, sometimes you've got something that you can't use, sometimes your opponent has something you don't want them using on you, like Dark Arm Dragon, like Judgment Dragon, like loads of stuff. So Card Destruction is definitely a good card to have there, just in case it has a used hand, just in case you have a bad hand. 2 Dragon's Mirror, and if you don't know what this card does, you can remove from play from your side of the field or from your graveyard, not in your hand, keep in mind, any monsters that are listed for a Dragon type fusion. So you can use Blackluster Soldier and Light the Hex Fusion or King of the Swamp with Dragon's Mirror and summon a Dragon's Master Knight from your graveyard, as long as you remove them from play. So that's another way how to summon Dragon's Master Knight, and a very, very good way as well. So run 2 of them. 3 would be far too much, because you're never going to have as much to summon 3 of them, but running 2 is a good amount number to have. Emergency Call, just to get one of your elemental heroes back to your hand. Like, if you need a water card, if you need an elemental hero Prisma, loads of possibilities. Normally I would use him with Stratos, and then use Stratos with something else, just to keep my hand flowing, just to keep my cards in my hand, and something on the field. But yeah, so Emergency Call. Foolish Burial can be used with your Treeborn Frog, or if you need a Light the Hex Fusion, or a Blackluster Soldier, or King of the Swamp in your graveyard. That's why I have Foolish Burial there. 2 Fusion Recoveries. What I found pretty strange was that my friend actually said to me that he found it pretty strange that I run Fusion Recovery, but I would always think that it was quite a staple for a Fusion type deck. Basically what it does is you target 1 Polymerization and 1 Fusion Material monster that was used for a Fusion summon in your graveyard and add them to your hand. You'd be surprised how many times I've used Polymerization with an Elemental Hero and a Water card to summon Absolute 0, and then like for example King of the Swamp, and then use Fusion Recovery, got my Polymerization back, and got my King of the Swamp, and then Polymerized again for Dragon's Master Knight, because you're recycling the cards from your graveyard. That means you can keep on getting more than 3 Polymerizations. It just works, completely works. Don't know why my friend thought that was like that, but you know, I think 2 of them works pretty well. 1 Fusion Sage, which just adds a Polymerization card to your hand, because obviously that's what you want to do, you need the fusion. 1 Future Fusion, again, that can only be, well, that can be used for Gaia or Elemental Hero 0. Normally I put King of the Swamp in my graveyard just in case I get the Blackluster Soldier in the graveyard, so therefore if I got a Dragon's Mirror, I'd be able to special summon him. So, or I use it with Treeborn Frog. You know, it can be used for various reasons. But that's another way how to summon Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. My god, I've talked about that. Gold Sarcophagus. And normally I would, like, there's loads of cards you can use that with. You can use that with Future Fusion, you can use that with Dragon's Mirror, you can use that with any material monster that you need to use, but normally I would always use Gold Sarcophagus, surprisingly on Morphing Jar. Mainly because I know that in 2 turns I'm not going to have a hand left. Especially if I've got the upper side of the field as well, but normally I would use that with Morphing Jar just so I can repopulate my hand, but you know, it's your call for that one really, whatever you really need. 1 Heavy Storm destroys back row. 1 Miracle Fusion works a lot like Dragon's Mirror, however it's to summon Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. You basically banish from your graveyard anything that's on an Elemental Hero card, so a water card and an Elemental Hero card. You banish them to remove from play, and then you summon Absolute Zero. Another way to summon one of these multiple fusion cards. Monster Reborn. Don't need to explain the possibilities in that and why you want a Monster Reborn in your graveyard. 3 Polymerizations. Again, I don't need to explain that. The only thing I'll re-say is the fact that you can Polymerization your Absolute Zero and our Elemental Hero card or a Water card for another Absolute Zero and destroy his monsters. It's a good way to reuse them and get rid of your opponent's monsters. So I run 3 of them, and I won 1 Swords of Revealing Light. Because as I said, you can use your hand pretty damn fast, and this stall card can sometimes be good depending on what you have or depending on what you've got. So 1 sword seemed a bit fitting there. That's it for the magic cards. They're all mainly draw cards or cards you can reuse or use pretty quickly. So I mean, even though you have 18 of them, you're using them pretty fast. So it's not that bad. I run 5 traps. Bottomless trap hole times 2. 1 Torrential Tribute, 1 Mirror Force, and 1 Divine Wrath. Mainly because every card you're going to come across is an effect monster. And there is no time where you never need to stop an effect monster that's going to change the tide of the game. So, and it can also be used to stop Stardust Dragon Assault mode. It can also be used to stop Stardust Dragon, which is both really popular decks in this game. Again, I've got a video on the Stardust Dragon Assault mode activate deck, but yeah, that card is really underused. Surprisingly, it's such an awesome card to have in your deck as well. So, and again, it's discardability for Blackluster Soldier. So that's why I run them in my deck. And so that's my deck. If you want to see this deck in action, I have or will post up an example duel, showing you all the combos that I've just explained, working against actual people and actual decks, just to prove that this deck is very viable on this game. It's pretty damn competitive and pretty damn satisfying to summon this guy. It's so satisfying. And you just, every time I summon him, like, I bet you my opponent's like, whoa. But you've got that, and you've got Blue Eyes Up My Dragon. Both really cool cards, very cool cards. But the deck recipe itself, the individual cards are listed in the card description. I hope you like this deck. Oh yeah, something I'll actually say before I go. Monster Reborn cannot be used with any fusion or ritual card I have in the graveyard. I've tried like ages ago, and surprisingly online lots of people try and Monster Reborn my Blackluster Soldier or my Dragon's Master Knight and end up falling short. So don't get caught out on that. It doesn't work with your rituals or your fusions, so don't even bother. Another thing I want to mention quickly is that originally when I made this deck, I had Blackluster Ritual in my deck, but it was slow. If I drew that randomly, it was a dead card, so I really didn't need to use it. I really didn't need to summon Blackluster Soldier, although it'd be really cool to summon. It'd be pretty awesome to summon, but no, there's no point in summoning that. Another time where I got quite excited about summoning an old school card was when I summoned Guy the Dragon Champion. That was awesome. But anyway, yeah, so that's why I don't run Blackluster Ritual in this deck whatsoever, and I don't run Blue Eyes White Dragons because I don't see the point. I won't be summoning them, I won't be tributing. This deck runs really fast with the 2 cards that I've just explained. But I just thought, just in case anyone has questions about that I just wanted to explain why I don't run them. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this deck if you decide to make it. I hope it wins you many of those. And if you like this deck, subscribe. Catch you guys later. Bye.